Quick intro on getting going with Xerte Online Toolkits. Xerte Online Toolkit is the one with lots of different templates, page types, interactivities, etc. The Bootstrap template has fewer interactivity types, much more basic, but it's highly optimized for mobile devices. Both will work on mobile devices, but some of the Xerte Online Toolkit interactions, if you're choosing something like drag and drop, for example, with the small screen size of mobile phone, some of those interactions will simply be off the screen. So brilliant for tablets, brilliant for online work with laptops, PCs, etc. But depending on your page types, Xerte Online Toolkits won't necessarily work with all mobile phones. Still, it's the one I'm going to show now because it's the one that's got lots of flexibility. I'm going to click on Create. I'm going to give it a name. Just call it Intro. And then just very quickly looking at some of the core ideas here. You add pages in this left-hand column. You edit pages in the middle. And on the right-hand side, there are optional properties, more advanced things that will be context sensitive depending on what you've got in the middle, what page you've got. At this point here, we're not on a page, we haven't added any page. We're simply describing the kind of overall character of our learning object. So I'll give it a title, Intro to Xerte Toolkits. There are different types of navigation. Linear is the one where you work through the buttons at the bottom. For many cases, it's the best one. You can experiment with the others if you want. And then in terms of the modes, you can either have it fill a window, automatically scale to fit the window you've got, or you can have it the default size that is optimized for 800 by 600 or whatever it is. Definitely tick the responsive text because then it will change size and it will reflow as the page changes. Right, so that's the background. Let's make a page. Lots of different types of pages. You can experiment with these. There's about 60 or 70 page types. But even on the very simplest, using a plain text page, you can do some really clever basic things. So I'm going to start with the very simplest, the plain text page, show you the basic conventions. So you can have a page before the current kind of position in the Xerte object, or after, or at the end. I've just put after because I was at the beginning. So I'll call this first page, and then I can start entering my text, but I can enter lots more than text here. You'll notice there's a little drop down to expand a toolbar. There's a toggle for a toolbar that gives you a full rich text editor. I've got also options down here in that I can show the toolbar permanently if I want to, and so that's another way of showing the toolbar. I've then got all my normal controls. So page 1, I'll call it Horses and Scarecrows. Why not, indeed. I can do the normal accessibility things like having headings. It starts at heading level 3 for the simple reason that heading levels 1 and 2 are already taken up in the learning object name, which appears on the page, and the page name, which will also appear on the page. So we start off heading level 3 and onwards. So here's sample text. At any point I can play this so that I can see what I'm looking at. Play just saves a local version so that you can have a look at what it's appearing like on screen, as I have there. If I press publish, that then saves it in a format that is completely saved. So this play is temporary. Have a quick look at it now. Publish is permanent. Yes, I like what I see, so make it permanent. So always try to publish it regularly as you go through. It's like your save button. It's definitely worth doing in case you get a power cut or your laptop crashes. You can do the obvious things about putting in tables, putting in multimedia. You can embed YouTube videos, all sorts of things, putting in images. You can even copy and paste images. So there are two ways of working. The best way of working is to put in images through the server. So you have a media area, a media folder associated with this specific learning object, and I can populate that using the upload files option. I can do more than one at a time, so I could have several things that I add in at the same time. So all my files can go up in one go, and then I can choose the ones that I wanted. So here's the scarecrow. Put in my alternative text. I can have it aligning left, right, center, whatever I want. I'll align it to the right for the moment, and then put some text in there as well. And then I can play that. This is just the temporary. What does it look like? Is it more or less right? Do I want to change anything around? That looks okay, so that's fine. Click on publish, just as a sort of good practice, saving it. And then I could have all sorts of other text here. I could also put in my pictures of a horse if I wanted to later on, or any other pictures I've got. So or you put in your multiple pictures and then move them around, resize them if that's not the right size. If my scarecrow wants to be a different size, I can resize him. If I can get Grammarly out of the way. Now here's a button. And so that basically is it. You can then add another page. So I've got a bit of text there. I might then have an interactivity afterwards. So I may do a little drag and drop categories. So after, and so drag the label to the right box, and again I've got the normal things. You see these toolbars are appearing. If they're taking up too much space I can get rid of them, but I can do the normal things. I could have a little picture in there. I could have this in a particular font if I wanted, and I've got some feedback I can put, about. It's not feedback per individual question, but it's feedback for the entire quiz, and it might be you need 80% to pass this or to move on to the next thing, or remember the right answers would be X, Y, Z. So let's do the categories. If I scroll down, it's a category exercise, so I define a couple of categories. Let's call it scarecrows, and then under the scarecrow category I can put different items, and you'll see that they're building up on the left over there. So Wurzel Gummidge would be one item, and then perhaps a new one would be Mr. Straw. And then when I've got my scarecrows, I could do horses, we said. So that's my category, and my items might include Black Beauty. And then I think there was a horse called Toy Story. There was a horse, was it Thunder or something? Whatever. And we can also, in these labels or in these categories, we can add images and media and or particular kinds of fonts. So there's various things that you could add if you wanted to. When I'm ready, click play. Just check it looks okay. It's building up. It's automatically building a table of contents as we go along. Here's my second page. So Thunder, I think, was a horse. Black Beauty, I think, was a horse. And it will randomize these each time. So if I go back a page and forward a page, I've got words. Gummidge comes first now. Thunder, Black Beauty must destroy. So you can see it randomizing there. I can check my answers, move on to the next page when I create it. So I'm happy with that. Click on Publish again, and so on. When I've completely finished with that, I've clicked Publish, so that's good. I'm happy with that. Close that down. This is the one intro. If I click on the information button, that allows me to do all kinds of things with the properties. So this is my project. I can rename it. The most important thing I want to do, if I want to look at access, is I can click on public, because until I click on public, it won't be, and click change access down the bottom, it won't be available to others. So it's private until you're ready. And then there are all kinds of other things. I can share it with other people. I can export it. I can give it to others on the same server. I can I can upload it to open content sites and all sorts of things. Really clever things you can do. For the moment, I'll just shut that down there. Oh yes, you can syndicate it as well to automatically feed out to RSS feeds, so somebody could subscribe to your channel, and every time you update or create a new learning object, they would get notification of that. So that's now my URL, and because of making it public, I've now got a URL. There's my first page, here's my second page. There are loads more things you can do. This is just to get you going, but it's a really valuable tool where you can put all kinds of interactivities in really, really quickly.